What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So, Voruna just came out, earlier today. So we've got a day one first impressions and build overview for Voruna. We'll be going over all her abilities. She's a brand new frame, so there's a lot to go over. And we'll be showing some, late game Helminth builds with Archon Shards and all that. So I hope that you guys enjoy this. There will be lots of theory crafting. I've done hours of testing, but there's even more that can be tested too. So expect more videos on her coming out soon. Also, we did test all this stuff live on stream, so if you want to go straight to the live stream channel, go for it. Alright, so let's just start off with Voruna. She's got 4 passives, she's got 4 abilities, obviously, and she's got a lot going on. So, as far as what her passives are, she has a passive tied to each of her 4 abilities. So, the way you can look at it is the first ability has a passive that gives you increased parkour velocity, basically like movement speed. The second ability has a passive that if you hold it, it will give you status immunity. So that means, you can't get knocked over by, shooting yourself with a Brahma, you can't get slash procs on you, etc., etc. So probably the best one, honestly, is her second ability passive. The third ability passive gives you heavy attack efficiency. If you don't know what heavy attack efficiency is, basically if you get the combo multiplier up a bunch of hits, if you do a heavy attack, it normally would drain the entire heavy attack combo multiplier, but with heavy attack efficiency, it will drain less. I believe it's about 80% heavy attack efficiency with this passive up. So if you have a really crazy heavy attack build like we're going to show in the video, you can keep doing heavy attacks over and over and over again, doing ridiculous damage. The last passive is going to be for her fourth ability, and it'll basically give you an extra life every 30 seconds. Unfortunately, this ability does not feel too great to use on the current patch, which is whatever patch we're on right now, the day she came out. So this usually is Helminth off, and you will not have access to that fourth passive. Let's go ahead and show how her abilities work. And I'm just going to show you the playstyle of her as well. So the first ability is called Shroud of Dinar. And the way I look at it is it's basically, she's kind of like a stealth assassin, sort of. The playstyle is jump into the shadows, because her first ability is an invisibility skill. While this is active, hitting an enemy will break the stealth. Also, once you're invis like that, killing an enemy with a melee attack, leaving invis, or just killing them in general, will give you a buff, the Shroud of Dinar buff. Now, going invisible again will get rid of that buff. But that buff's going to give you increased crit multiplier on melees and increased status chance, and also inflict bleed. You think a melee kill during this buff will extend the melee buff. But the problem is, she's not a very tanky frame, so you're going to want to be going back invis immediately after killing something, if you ask me. So, yeah, basically you go invis, and the invis duration is quite long. By the way, this invis duration is longer than Ash's invis duration. And you can just move around. This is basically a stealth frame right here for this first ability. This one ability is better than a lot of frames' entire kit put together. And like I said, after you leave stealth and kill something, you will get a crit damage buff, which is actually very strong, very, very powerful. She's a very melee-focused frame. Also will cause slash procs and higher status chance. That crit damage is moddable by strength. Some of the other stats are not moddable by strength. For example, the status chance is not moddable by strength. You also move 200% faster, apparently, too. So, a very, very crucial part of her playstyle, if you're going to be surrounded by enemies, you get surrounded, your shield breaks, you get shield gating, go invis, reposition yourself, get your shield back somehow, then start killing over and over again. The second ability is going to be a very complicated one, but a very powerful one. If you want to do a long endurance run, this ability right here is going to be amazing for you. Fangs of Raksh. So, you target an enemy, and it will cause 5 random status effects to be applied at 10 stacks each. On enemies' death, spread the status effect to enemies nearby. The damage, it will also cause a slash damage over time. It has a casting range and a spread radius. The spread radius is affected by range mods. So, just to quickly show how that works, we're going to show you how to min-max this ability in a little bit here. I target him. He's got a bunch of procs up. He's got 10 viral because we got lucky. If I was to kill this guy, which is really not that hard with all that was procs in him, as you see, it spreads to enemies in the area. And I didn't have enough range to spread over to her. That's why high range is going to be good on your Voruna build. And a nice little synergy you can do is while you're invisible, for her first ability, cast the second ability, it will refresh your duration of your, or not refresh your duration, it will just make you go invis again. So you can just keep doing that to jump around the room, going invisible constantly, basically. So that's all well and good. Let's go over her third ability, and the third ability is going to be basically one of the final keys to making a good Voruna build. It's going to be, okay, I'm not going to remember the name of the ability, to be honest, but it's good. What is this one called? Lycath's Hunt. Lycast Hunt will sustain the pack, giving you guaranteed health orb drops on melee kills and guaranteed energy orb drops on headshot kills. Killing an enemy while you're in this ability will extend the duration. So basically, if you use the mod Equilibrium, and you use another mod that lets you pick up health orbs whenever you want to, you will have infinite energy on Voruna. So just quickly to show how that will work. So the buff is currently active. If I get a headshot kill on this guy, I already picked up the orb. If I get a melee kill, it's a guaranteed health orb. And as you can see, I'm picking up the orbs, and it's, you know, that's good. They recently did buff how much health orbs give you. They give you 50 per. So that is the first 3 abilities. Let's go over the final ability, the one that a lot of people are not really finding super impactful right now, just because of the speed at which it kills things. The 4th ability is called Ulfron's Descent. So basically, you get up down on all 4s, and you start going crazy. You start slicing the enemies. Well, actually, you decide when they start slicing the enemies. You click on an enemy. Once this targeting reticle comes up, you will leap onto them. I believe it does have built-in condition overload, but the thing is we have melees with condition overload too. So we'll go over that in a little bit. But it will cause a force slash proc. And of course, if you remember, this ability, the second one, Fangs of Rock, will spread status effects to enemies in the area when they die. So you can kind of see the synergy there. You know, debuff them with your status procking AoE thing, then slash them with your Ulfron's Descent. It's AoE slash procs, basically. So let's go ahead and just use the ulti without the second ability to see how that goes. So as you can see, we are even smaller than our Panzercat somehow. And you know, you would think you'd be able to walk around like this. No, when you start walking around, you actually get off of all 4s and just start walking around as normal. But just to show how this works, we have these 5 little claw marks right here. Those are our charges of Ulfron's Descent. Jump on the enemy. Now, getting a kill with this will give you increased damage. But the problem is it has to be a base damage kill. So for example, if I kill this guy with a slash proc, it's not going to give me a stack of the passive that gives you increased damage on this. But as you can see, it's doing pretty decent damage. It's not really enough damage if you ask me. So there we go. And looks like the AoE slash proc didn't go off. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. So that's the overview of her abilities. Basically, the play style of her is you're playing her like, you know, like a ninja, basically. So you want to always be in stealth. When you find a group of enemies you want to kill, use your second ability to like get them ready to go, and then either kill them with your melee, or I guess you could technically use your Ulfron's Descent slash attack to do that. Also, always have her 3rd ability up, so you have infinite energy and technically infinite health. I know it's not exactly infinite health because you're eventually going to just get one shot. But let's start going over the build and what I'd recommend modding for. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. All the builds I'm showing today have her 4th ability Helminth off. I don't consider her 4th ability really worth it. And we've got lots of good Helminths to choose from. So far I'm going to go with a couple of the main suggestions as Gloom, Terrify, Nourish. Yes, Nourish from Grendel got a massive buff. Breach Surge, Ensnare, a couple other ones too. But as far as Grendel's Helminth, Nourish, this is what it does now. This is brand new as of today. The self-heal aspect of Grendel's Nourish has been removed, but what you get instead is if an enemy shoots you, they will take a viral stack, or a viral proc. Energy Orbs give you increased effectiveness, and also is a viral damage buff. So if you are wanting to mod your melee weapon for viral damage, this technically works on guns too, but Voruna's a melee frame, so it's mainly for melee damage. This will give you viral, and you can even go with slash too. So very powerful, and with this much power, some 160% increase. Pretty straightforward. Now keep in mind, we do have a Crimson Tau Shard on this build. If you don't have a Crimson Tau Shard, and you don't have blue shards in general, this build is going to be a little bit different, okay? You might notice we have no Prime Flow. Like I said, this frame has infinite energy. If you don't have the blue shards, go with Prime Flow right there. But as far as the base energy and stuff like that, she's got 150 base energy, I believe it is. Yeah, so she's got 150 health, 100 overall energy, 190 armor, 100 shields, and 0.95 sprint speed. Not exactly a huge energy pool, so you know Prime Flow is not giving you a ton. So I decided to go with a Tau blue shard to give you 75% more, or 75 more energy flat, and then 50 more energy from another Tau shard blue. So we got 125 extra energy. I'm telling you, 275 energy feels great. Let's actually get some gameplay on the screen here so we can talk about you know, other things you can do with her. And like I said, she's a very melee-focused frame. This is with Gloom right here in the footage, and we're actually using the Praedos. Now, as far as going over some tips and tricks for her abilities, it is still the first day, so keep in mind that people are still testing things out. But for my testing, I have found some tricks with Voruna, which makes her 4 pretty much invalidated to me. So one of those is going to be her second ability combined with heavy attack slash weapons. The Praedos, like I said, the Praedos is the weapon we're using in the footage right here. And as far as, what to do with the Praedos, you want to have a build that's going to be based around heavy attacks, and also you want to have Blood Rush on here. Now, it's not fully focused on heavy attacks. I like to use light attacks on this thing too. Also, this Riven is heavy attack efficiency and crit damage. But we just basically want to have a weapon that has Force Slash on heavy, and Praedos is one of those weapons that has Force Slash on heavy. It's an Incarnate weapon from Zeramod. We want Condition Overload because her second ability gives them a ton of statuses. We want to have, Smite Mod for really, really high power slash procs, and the rest is up to you. Just basically go crit and slash as far as I'm concerned. Now, she has 80% efficiency from her third passive. That will let you do your 12x heavy attack multiple times in a row. 80% is good. 90% is what it caps out at. So if you don't have a heavy attack efficiency Riven, there are heavy attack efficiency mods like Reflex Cold. There's a 25 million right there. But let's go over basically the Mark for Death aspect of her. Basically, that's how I'd put it, is that she has Mark for Death, kind of. I don't know if this is intended or not, but this is working currently. So basically, use her second ability, Fangs of Raksh, and with our ridiculously high range build, it's going to spread in a 18.55 meter radius. So what that means is basically, if an enemy dies, they will spread procs all over the place around them. I found a trick with her where if you basically attack really fast after you cast an ability, it will transfer gigantic slash procs, which it doesn't seem to do on other things all the time. So I'm going to build up some combo here. Not too hard to build combo with the Praedos. We'll show those evolutions here in a little bit. Alright, 12x combo. I'm going to cast on this guy, and I'm going to heavy attack immediately. As you see, that guy got the slash proc transfer, but some of them didn't. So it's a little bit inconsistent. I'm not exactly sure how this is supposed to work. But yeah, heavy attacking really quick. It will also work with the Kuva Shakur as well, and some other like high slash proc weapons. Let's see if we can do it with this Butcher right here. Okay, so it seems like it's similar to Mark for Death. Like, why did it kill some of those guys, not the other ones? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, she is very powerful with melee. That is going to be a melee crit damage buff when you leave the invis as well, when you break the invis to kill an enemy. So yeah, it's going to be shield gating with this build, rolling guard, and things like that. Now, she can't exactly shield gate with her 1. It's a 25 energy cost ability, so you will most likely be shield gating with her 2. And we do have quite a few... We have quite a few aspects of shield getting on here. We've got Brief Respite Aura mod, which is, like a must-have for shield getting for the most part. We've got 1 Augur mod on our build, and we've got 2 Augur mods on our pistol. Whatever pistol you end up running, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is you have Augur mods on there to give you more shield gating from your whenever you cast an ability. You will be shield gating from her 2, like I said, because it has more energy cost. Yeah, we're getting about 100 and something shield from this in one cast. So if you have the Decaying Dragon Key, 75 shield, it's not impossible to shield gate, but it is near impossible to shield gate with her 1. So as far as if she's a good frame or not, I think she's really good. This is just a day 1, like first impressions build, and you can use Tharo Strike on her from Styanax. She's really good in Disruption. Like I said, all those CO procs, you drop 5 procs on them, whatever you got on your Condition Overload primer, maybe even. If you don't even need to use a primer on her, honestly, but if you wanted to, you could. And then you're gonna mow down Demolist like near instantly. So if you use Tharo Strike on her in a Disruption, like go crazy. And as far as the build I showed here at the beginning, I think that I have a pretty decent build for any type of Helminth. It's gonna be 175 range, so it's not like over and min max in any stat. It's going to be good for nearly every Helminth, and especially Helminths like, Nourish, or not Nourish, this is okay for Nourish. Nourish doesn't really need range. It's going to be good for Helminths like Terrify, Gloom, etc., etc. So you want to have 2 range mods, and you want to have enough strength where you're going over 200%. So Tharo Strike on this build will work great. You might notice that we have no natural talent on this build. That's because I've gone with 2 Archon Shards for casting speed. This will replace natural talent, and then for my Gloom build, this will replace Prime Flow. So we're replacing 2 mods, technically, with our Archon Shards. But yeah, this is a great basis for, like, a ton of other builds. If you don't want to run Prime Flow because you're going to be running Equilibrium, which you definitely should on her, you can, like I said, take off this for some other mod. But yeah, for the high range one, we want to have massive spreading radius on our 2. We want to have like the entire room gloomed up basically, and trust me, no prime flow is no problem on her because every orb becomes a energy orb and every energy orb becomes a health orb, vice versa. Very important mod to do this though. Sorry I didn't mention this earlier. On your companion of choice, you want this mod called Synth Fiber. Health orbs increase your armor for companions by 25% for 3 seconds. Who cares about what that does? All this does really is let you pick up health orbs when you're full health. So if you have this mod with Equilibrium and her 3, you will be an infinite energy assassin, which is pretty fun. I mean, she is very fun to play. You're going to want a really good melee weapon. So like I said, the Praedos is good. You know, just something that can do good heavy attacks, and I would say honestly can do good light attacks too, which is quite a few weapons honestly. So yeah, overall pretty fun frame. Her weapons are kind of like she's got a heavy blade that like causes a vortex on heavy slam, and she's got basically a Nell Prime primary sniper. So I'm excited to try out her primary sniper because it was really decent. Really decent. It was somewhat decent earlier. Had good 100 editions viability and stuff like that. So I'm interested in trying that out. As far as like the rest of like what else you could do, there will definitely be a lot more you know, builds for her coming out soon. Like I said, as far as Helminths, I've currently got Gloom, Terrify, Nourish, Breach Surge, Ensnare, and then I think I would try another one earlier. Breach Surge was really good, especially if you go with that 265 range. She does not need that much strength. As far as things that scale with her for strength, there's quite a few, and range doesn't have that many things that scale with on her. But you know, you have plenty of options here. Like as far as range, it will make it where you can like jump on enemies from further, and your 2 will spread more. But the 3 is not affected by range in any way, and I don't believe the 1 is affected by range in any way either. So the range will mostly be for your Helminth ability and your 2, and her 2 is really good. I'm expecting to get it nerfed honestly because it's that good. So yeah, you do want to mod for range in my opinion. So overall, fun frame. Wish there was more in this update besides just this awesome frame and a couple cool weapons. But, you know, that's what it is. I'll have plenty of new videos coming out soon, guys. And I'll probably have a more in-depth Voruna video soon. I like to like just get a video on like explaining how the frame works and stuff the day of. So, also, by the way, you do not need, if you're using the Praedos with the evolutions we have, which is Drifting Grace, Shockwave Synergy, Evolved Ascension, and Kinetic Harmony, you do not need to run Naramons. You can go Matarai for Void Strike heavy attacks, and it does crazy damage. So, hope you guys have fun farming her. She's actually not as hard to farm as you would think. You can get her, like basically there's a pity system for her with Archimede and Yanta, so go ahead and check that out for the Lua Thraxplasm, and I will see you guys next time. Appreciate all the support. And yeah, as far as Archon Shards, we got 1 Tau Shard Crimson, 2 blue shards for energy, and then 2 casting shards like I said earlier. So, alright guys, take it easy. Peace.